Hey, great to meet everyone. I cannot see everyone, but just say hi to everyone. And thanks for the digital overdose provide this fantastic opportunity. Thanks for the organizer for your efforts. I'm Peter Low. I'm the co-founder of Detonomy, and I used to be the lead security analysis for Microsoft Office 365, where we protected hundreds of thousands of Exchange servers, SharePoint servers, and OneDrive servers. I got my PhD in computer science. So today I'm going to talk about the security automation with Node-RED. If you don't know Node-RED, you can quickly Google search it. It's a very popular no-code automation platforms, and we are based in Boston. So here's a rough agenda. So I'll talk about a couple of use cases that we had in manage our operation centers and work with different teams on manage secure operation centers. And then I'll talk about the high level overview of Node-RED, and I'd love to give demo. I will provide a couple of demos, interactive demos to show how it works, and then we can deep dive a little bit into Node-RED. It has been lots of features, but I'll try to provide a comprehensive list of features that we think that will get started with Node-RED. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions if there's any channel. I look forward to interact with everyone in the room. So I'm a different guy. I'm more focused on how to run defense, how to run data operations. Of course, there are lots of things we can do on the red team side, but here I think these are the tasks like we are seeing very common in the blue team. So for example, like we have been looking at like how to monitor the dark web, right? If you come across Bespin, if you come across ad hoc URL, you would always want to look for to monitor those kind of data exchange in those kind of website and see if there's kind of things relevant to your companies. I've been doing this kind of incident response. Every time I have incident response, I always want to enrich the informations, right? Like enrich the IPs, enrich the threat intelligence. I always want to. There's lots of tedious works, right? Like if there's a phishing email I'm analyzing, I always want to parse those kind of emails. If there's any kind of communications, I always need to write emails to address different things, different DLPs, different phishing scenarios. So there's, I mean, we are used to work in Microsoft, and the way that we deal with the one is we have to write down all those kind of steps in OneNote. We love OneNote, by the way. We have to write all those kind of steps, and we have to do all those kind of things manually. Compliance and audit is always takes time consuming. It's always like takes lots of our efforts to finish them. So especially in this kind of cloud year, there's when you have users, when you manage like thousands or hundreds of thousands of users, you want to audit them. You want to make sure every user has the right password policy. You want to make sure every user have the right MFA enabled. You want to make sure the password was designed to roll out every 3 months or those kind of things. There are lots of policies you want to make sure they are strongly enforced. And I don't want to do them manually. It's probably impossible to do them manually. Let's talk about the security controls. Let's talk about like DLP verifications. Let's talk about this kind of email phishing, trainings, simulations, right? So you want to make sure those kind of DLP are always controlled. You always want to make sure whenever there's a phishing and your system was able. Your system was designed to catch it. You should be able to catch it, and you should always make sure that your secure system is secured as you expected. At the administration, so we have been as a SOC team, like we have manage different softwares, like even like small companies. You have, for example, you have you have new users, especially new employees, right? You need to assign them to different systems, right? different software, different tools. For example, your team using the Teams, if your teams using like Microsoft Office 365 Defenders, if your teams is using like using like maybe like various tools, you need to assign those kind of people into those kind of give them grant them permissions, right? And if they leave the teams, you always want to make sure they got off completely from your systems. They got cut off from systems completely. So as well, I was manager team, I always feel like tedious. Like I have to manually add everyone. I mean, I have a checklist I have to go through. This is Google Data. This is Google. This is G Suite. This is like a developer tools like Bitbucket or those kind of things. I go through every tools and add them one by one. So this is not my main job to as the blue team. My main focus should be focused on the different people rather than like manage those kind of data tasks. About reporting, right? Reporting. I mean, security is there are lots of aspects of the blue team that's super important. But one very important thing, maybe not relevant to how you defend the people, but this is relevant to how you get your funding, get you guys funded from your upper management, how to get a visibility across the organizations, how to get a visibility across the across community, right? The reporting. So as we have managed using different tools, EDR tools, NDR tools, as we're using vulnerabilities, and there are lots of details in the security teams. As I know, like the security teams, every security analysis has to deal with lots of things, but no matter how complicated, like, well, we need to be able to like create a nice report using like popular Power BI tools, popular like data analytics tools like Power BI, like Google Data Studio or whatever, to showcase to others, to sell what you have been doing, to communicate the values that you have been working on to them. I mean, those kind of things takes time. It's not. It takes away time, like for us to focus on how to better detect, how to better respond to those kind of issues. And what if we can automate them? I mean, not necessarily automate everything, but what if we can quickly automate them as much as possible so that we can focus on the most important things. I mean, automation is important task. And one thing, when we talk about automation, I mean, probably everyone can talk about like using like a writing code, right? Writing Python script codes or those kind of things. I think it's doable. I mean, like using Bash scripts or using PowerShell scripts, using whatever scripts, Python scripts or whatever you like, right? I mean, it's doable. I think the challenge there is that there's definitely time consuming, and there definitely lots of things is time consuming. There definitely needs a lot of needs a little bit more skills, right? You have to learn how to do programming. I mean, writing programming is not it's a fun stuff, but it's not the easiest job for everyone to do. There are definitely challenges to get things right. Plus, like if you write code, you have to maintain it, right? You have to make sure it always runs runs correctly. So there's a lot of challenges like doing this writing scripts. But I think from the education point of view, I do encourage everyone to learn how to write programming. But now we possibly have better tools like enable you to write less code, not like it's a little bit ambitious to say no code, but we will, with the help of the community, with the help of the technology, probably you can write less code. I mean, this we find already, which is open source automation tools. So Node-RED was mainly for like IoT automation. I mean, it has been there for like over 10 years. It has large community. It's already have more than 3,000 integrations, and people are actively contributing to this kind of tools. From what we see is that so it's browser-based editing, flow editing. You have you can get a flow. You can create flow. I will show you guys in demo in a couple of minutes. But on high level, you have a browser level flow editing, and it's built on Node.js based on their popular even loop architecture. It's easily shareable between different teams, between different and contributed by community, so you can leverage whatever is already there. So So this is a little bit high-level overview of Node-RED. You have all these kind of integrations on the left side, and you have your lovely canvas where you can create your automations, and you can create your automations from here, and you can have a detailed instructions like what's input, what's output, and how to use these kind of integrations, and you have menu, you can manage those kind of workflows. Okay, speaking with that, I think I'll just quickly get you a demo to let you guys know what I'm talking about here. Can you see my browser? Yeah. Okay, great. So this is a quick example. So let's say like I want to do some. So on the left side is bunch of integrations with different sub-security tools. Let's say AWS, let's say Azure, CrowdStrike, hybrid analysis, Jira, those kind of things. So what I'm showing here is this canvas. So what I'm doing here is that I basically showing you. I input an IP. The IP is called Google default IP 8.8.8.8, and I want to go through a node we call like IPGeo information. Like this one is basically parse the IP and extract the geo information. And then I'm going to show you how to when I run this one, you will see the geo information get outputted on the right side. So you can see I basically let's take the input of the 8.81 and then go through the built-in integrations and give you the information about this IP. What's the geo information of this one? So this is a quick example of the geo. I mean, there's lots of things we can do with IPs. For example, especially in your investigations, right? Like you go through geo, you go through VirTotal, you go through hybrid analysis, you go through maybe ASINs, you go through abuse IPDB, right? I mean, there's lots of things I can quickly get like set up. Let's go to VirTotal, and let's say this one, and then for VirTotal, you want to get a VirTotal key, right? You can get a freemium version of keys. You can get saved, and then you can run it, and it will automatically query the VirTotal, give you information about these IPs, has it been detected, and what are the engines that detected, who is the owners, what's the resolutions, so on and so forth. All the hosts that result to these IPs. Let's say I want to go to abuse IPDB, and I can go to abuse IPDB, and I can go to this one. So you see, like it's give you errors, like API keys is not existed. So I need to make sure I have an API key here. So you can just go through abuse IPDB, and it give you all the information from abuse IPDB, give you the host name. Yeah, there's definitely some overlap with other information, other threat intelligence. Let's say if you want to using thread crowd, you want to go to thread crowd, and you can drag thread crowd here, and you can do this one, you can do this one, you can do this one, you can do this one. And if you write, you can see this cross-track, this thread crowd. They give you information whether it's benign or malicious. Yeah, so let's just give you a first impression about Node-RED. So let's get a little bit deeper into the Node-RED stuff. Yeah, so Node-RED has, I think you have seen the nodes, right? The nodes here. So nodes have like we call like 4 types: input nodes, output nodes, utility function node, and third-party action node. So the input node has essentially there are two types of input. So one is we call like inject node, one is the HTTP endpoints. This inject node enable you to run like things periodically, or enable you to run ad hoc. And HTTP is HTTP endpoints, so you can quickly create a REST API endpoints that can connect to any kind of platforms you have. And then output have a debug or HTTP response correspondingly. So for example, this one is the inject node. So this one is inject node, inject special trigger. You can see this one. The trigger has you can specify you can input different things, input like a timestamp or a content, and you can repeat them at a certain interval. So you can specify like run once a day or run at a specific time, like Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, or at different time. And then you can use like a HTTP endpoints. So this HTTP endpoints get you can see all kinds of methods. Get, post, put, delete, patch. You can quickly set up this one. You can give a URL, some URL, and set up a and as the output, you can correspondingly set up output. You can do all kinds of things in between, and at the end you can set up a response like is that 200, is that 400, based on your requirements. So this is the input and output. So two ways. One is proactive, one is passive. For proactive ways, you can schedule them. You can and for passive ways, you can build up quickly speed up API endpoints and for any kind of systems to connect with you. For example, you have a ServiceNow team. I know lots of companies have a ServiceNow team. If you want to connect to the Node-RED, I think that's just super easy. So a little bit deep, like deep here is how it works within the Node-RED. So essentially, any node that basically is taking input and output a JSON format, and the JSON format, the JSON values is getting parsed between different nodes. So whenever output them is basically a JSON type of content, and it's with a default value like default value is payload, msg.payload. So that's the main like information carrier, but you have other attributes that you can specify. So and for it has so when you write automation, you probably have to write lots of other functions. You want to like flexibility in terms of Python functions, in terms of like JavaScript. So if the integration is not here, so you probably want to run some kind of your own functions. So it's also have integration with JavaScript, or you have integration with Python. So that those kind of functions enable you to smoothly or even like reuse all your existing code. For example, if you already write some code, write like Python, to do some scraping or scanning. I think those kind of things you can always fit in here, but combine with them to build your own new logic. And in terms of logical functions, it already have a bunch of things like give you like a split, join, switch. For example, split is like a parse, like getting data, like getting one by one. Switch is that you can do if else, right? If you have multiple conditions, you can have multiple conditions. If something happens, let's do this. If something happens, let's do that. I mean, that's very common logic in the data operations, and Node-RED have all these kind of things built in. So and also it has like a third party integrations. There are lots of third party integrations with different security tools, Qualys, Rapid7, and ServiceNow, so on and so forth. So those kind of things basically is API based. So you have all these platforms that have API, and now you have you can connect to the APIs and connect to the APIs and complete your tasks. Like for example, you have a cross-track. You can always pull data from the cross-track, whether that's detection, whether that's the instance, or whether you want to close a cross-tracking instance, or whether you want to analyze getting the host information of the cross-track. So the API is already there. You don't need to rebuild the views, and the API will get you to do this stuff. And in terms of workflow management, once we have the workflow in place, we can save them into the playbooks. We can save them into the playbooks. Write up different kind of playbooks. You can drag and drop, and if you have already reviewed a bunch of things, this is some are complicated, some are easier. So you can always save them. The good thing is you can share them with the community and leverage whatever community with build. So you can share them with it's essentially a JSON format. You can share them with your colleagues, like just copy paste this kind of JSON format, and then they can import it into their environments and run as well. So I'll get two demos. I'll get two more demos. One is, let's see. So besides like look at IPs, let's see like there's some there's lots of time-consuming part is really like a part of the data parsing. So we have it's a little bit more like the utility functions that target for security teams, like for example extra URLs, especially like when you analyze something like let's just write some random text here. So it's getting parsed the random text. Something else. And you want to, so there's some task you want to analyze these emails, right? Like analyze these URLs. So you can always go through this kind of automation and get you back the URLs to the IOC abstractions. You have the host name, if you have the IPs, if you have URLs, those kind of things, or can go through these kind of utility functions. And let's get to the last demo. So we have the IP enrichment here, and we have the parsing here. And now let's go to the fishing. And if you remember the fishing, when you have the emails, and you need to parse the headers, you need to parse the URLs, you need to get attachments, and then you need to correlate it with virus photo, you need to correlate it with hyper analysis. And then you, based on different information, you will need to send out different notifications. So here, this automation basically is taking the parser emails and go through parse the email, read the emails, parse the emails, and go through the virus total. And it have two conditions. It will check if virus will give you information if it's malicious. If it's malicious, let's send an email. Let's send an email to say, oh, this one is the phishing emails. If not, let's send an email saying there's nothing, no issue found in these emails. And in our testing environments, I'll show you that we have essentially we have two emails here. Anyways, we have two emails. We have two emails here. I'll quickly run this one. So and then you can usually expect to see we can send emails here, notification here. Let's quickly run this one. So now it's connecting to the emails, and you can see we even have rate limited control here. There are two emails it's doing. So one is parsing now, and then once it's done, you can see it's connecting to the web API. So it takes time, but this kind of things, or once you set up, it's done automatically. And you see, like it's give you status is done, like it's done. And then let's look at the inbox here. So you can see I received an email, phishing email was detected. So you can see it's getting run automatically. Okay. So yeah, I think I have 25 minutes done. So this is all I have, and I'm ready to take any questions. Yeah, thanks for the time. Thanks for organizers again. Yeah.
So I think Skelly had a question.
I did, and I remember to unmute this time. Yeah, so question for you, Peter. How difficult is this to learn, and what are some other use cases that it could be useful for?
So how? Okay, that's a good question. Yeah. So it's so getting started. It takes like 1 second probably. It's take 1 second. You can get started with your first baby workflow. And the use cases, as I mentioned, all these kind of use cases is doable. We have been using them, and we have been working with different teams on this stuff. Yeah, so all these use cases we have hands-on like implemented those stuff. Yeah, it's almost, I mean, it's almost from all these kind of aspects. Yeah, even like goes beyond the blue teams to red team stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was great. Nikos, do you have any more questions for Peter?
I mean, I was wondering a little bit how one could extend it. For example, okay, so we have some form of automation. Could we eventually hook in Elastic as a source for this to then perform operations on an Elastic?
Yeah. So Elastic, we have the platforms already have Elastic integration. Talking to the index, and this goes beyond the Elasticsearch, goes to Waza, goes to you name it, Spank, goes to everybody, goes to not everybody, but the exam bean or those kind of things. Yeah.
Awesome. I was just a bit curious. So yeah, fantastic. We don't really have that many questions actually in chat, as I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I think the word is excited that the live demo worked perfectly.
that's always a challenging part. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, we did just get a question. Aha. Would it be possible for the workflows that you showed to be designed in the UI like you did, and then be executed from a command line interface?
Command line interface. Exactly in command line. Yeah. So I think the way to do that is really like you set up a workflow with API endpoints, and then you just call your API endpoints from your command line.
Okay. Awesome. That sounds interesting. New perspectives for security automation. Good.